Have you ever noticed how the end of the year feels like one big rush? You start strong. You're like, I've got this. But somewhere between the busyness, the to-do list, the expectations, the holidays, you lose focus on what really matters. Maybe you've even been asking yourself, like, how do I even finish the year well? How do I stay faithful to what God has called me to do without burning out, without losing control? If this sounds familiar, this episode is for you. Welcome to Flourish, the podcast for faith-driven mompreneurs who are ready to release overwhelm, create sustainable, healthy habits, and build purpose-driven businesses aligned with their faith, family, and vision. I'm Stephanie Book, a transformational mindset, wellness, and business coach. I'm here to equip you with the tools, mindset shifts, and encouragement to help you flourish. If you're ready to grow a thriving life and business while staying aligned with your faith, purpose, and priorities, you're in the right place. You are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Flourish Podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm so glad that you are here. So today we're going to talk about what it would look like to finish the year with a faith-fueled focus. Last week, we talked about reflection, taking a look back at what the year has brought us. But today, we're going to move into talking about direction. It's time to take what God has shown you that's happened this year and step into these last few weeks with intention, clarity, and calm. Here's what I've learned after years of running in circles. Focus doesn't come by hustling harder. It comes by aligning your heart first, having a plan. When we chase productivity without peace, we end up busy, overwhelmed, and really just stressed out. We're not fruitful at all. But when we focus on what God's actually asking us to do, the pressure, it starts to fade. And our purpose takes place when we make the room for that. Proverbs 16:3 reminds us, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. This verse reminds us to pause and ask, Lord, what do you want for me to establish in my days, in this season? So today I thought we'd walk through some of the questions that I use with my clients when we are trying to build clarity in their lives and their business and more. You can also find these in the CEO Clarity and Systems board, and that's in the comments below. So number one is we want to prioritize peace over pressure. How do we do that? Well, first of all, one of the things I love and always recommend to do, and you've probably heard me talk about this before, is write down everything you can think of that you need to do. I actually did this a few weeks ago, and I might have even mentioned on the podcast, and I just made a list on my phone over and over and over and over again, just everything that came to my mind, as silly as, don't forget to take the chicken out of the freezer, to all the different things that I was planning for my business, right? Dump all of that out of our brain. This is not the first time, and it won't be the last that I will talk about this. But the next step is then I want you to circle 3 things that matter the most for right now, for this season. You might have a real broad range of different things, but if you were to look over that entire list, what are those 3 main things that you would be like, that is amazing? If I accomplish those 3 things through this season, through this crazy busy time, I would feel amazing. I would feel like I really accomplished something. So look over that list, and once you've dumped it all out, so you're no longer storing it, now you have a record of what's there, then circle those 3 things that are the most important. When we have focus, it brings peace. It gives us a priority, something to focus on. Once we do that, then another thing you can do is anchor your week. Every week you want a rhythm that reflects your season. So those 3 things that you have on your list, what in your week can you put together to make sure that you are working on that one goal? What things can you anchor in your week to make sure that other things are flowing systematically, that are coming in a rhythm, so that you can focus on those other things that are really important for you to finish for the year? So we have the big 3 goals, and then what we get to do is then break it down by week and then set 3 other goals of what you would like to accomplish that week to help you reach toward those big goals. As you do this, this will give you some structure and allow you to surrender all the other things that you need to do. You have the 3 focus goals over the rest of the year, and then 3 goals that you can focus on each week to help you move towards those things. That will help you have consistency without overwhelm, because you'll know these are the things that I'm focusing on. And you anchor things to that, which I can go more into that in my programs and in the clarity board as well. But it's really good when you have those things that you can anchor to other things that you're already doing so that you can make that seamless. So maybe those 3 things that you're focusing on for the week might need some extra attention, but then you can look at the things that you can do every week that are just part of your routine that you can anchor maybe to something else. So maybe, let's think. So maybe you were maybe one of your goals was, I'm just going to pick a very simple thing. Maybe you wanted to clean your pantry in your kitchen because you wanted to start off the year living healthy and you wanted to clean out all the stuff that you don't want in there. But just say clean the pantry might be too much. So let's say that's your goal. And so what could you anchor to that goal? So let's say for this week, you're going to clean the shelf. That is, one of your goals for this week is to clean your canned food shelf, right? So that is on your goal. But what could you partner with that? So maybe while your coffee is brewing in the morning, you pick a section of that to go through. Or maybe while you're waiting for dinner to be done and you have that space in between where you don't want to start another project fully, but you are already in the kitchen. So maybe you anchor that waiting time to going through that shelf in your cabinet or a section of that shelf. That might be a weird example, but you get the idea. Like we want to anchor something to something you're already doing. So a lot of times, you want to drink your water. Water is a habit that you want to create. And I've talked about this before. So while your coffee's brewing, drink a glass of water. Then it gets in the habit. While coffee's brewing, boom, your mind says, okay, it's time to drink my water. So you can anchor some different things that you want to accomplish to things that you already do that maybe are just a little bit easier to get through. Or maybe you want to read through a couple more books or listen to a few more books before the end of the year. So maybe while you're folding your laundry, instead of watching the TV, you can listen to your book, right? So you can find those things that you're already doing and anchor it with something else. And then number 3 is align your action with purpose. Every task, pretty much all the tasks have a why. We have a reason why we're doing them. So before you add another goal to your list, ask, does this move me toward what God is calling me to do? If not, give yourself permission to release it. If it's not something that's bringing you where you want to accomplish, if it's not moving you to the goal. Now, obviously, I was talking an example of your cabinet and your food pantry, right? But if we're talking about some bigger goals that you have that you want to accomplish before the end of the year, make sure that those are aligning with your purpose, aligning where God is calling you to be. Because that clarity it's going to bring you calm. It's going to help you have focus. And you're going to be able to walk through the rest of this year just knowing that you are straight on where you're supposed to be. So as we head into the last couple months, or we're actually in part of the last couple months of the year, this is where I see a lot of people, they slip up and let the hustle overtake what they want to do, the focus. And so it would be great to take a few moments to simplify and get grounded. So a simple framework that I would love for you to write down or try to implement is, first of all, choose one focus area for the rest of the year, something that moves you closer to the person that you want to become. Maybe it's consistency in something that you're doing. Maybe it's your health. Or maybe it's clarifying your business structure. Find that core purpose. Then set one spiritual focus. This is maybe a word or a verse or something that anchors your heart as the year closes. For me, I read this verse. Obviously it's in Romans and I've probably read it before, but this year I read this verse a while ago and I really enjoyed it. So this is kind of my verse that I am holding on to. It says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Romans 15:13. So find one verse, one focus, one word that you can focus on. Maybe it's just you want to focus on peace, how you can walk through each day, each part of this season with the craziness, with the busy, with the hustle, with more peace. And maybe you remind yourself in different ways or put that at the top of your planner for each week. And that's a focus, your spiritual focus. And then you can set one personal or family focus. This keeps your priorities aligned with your values and not your workload. So I know that these are separate. I talked about, those different ways that we can break down the big things that we have on our mind. So we have our 3 big things we want to accomplish for the year. And then I know I started talking about these focus goals, and they're a little bit different, and they are both 3s, but this is a way that you can kind of align everything together. So maybe it would be a great idea to do these 3 first, and then go through and pick out those 3 most important things you want to accomplish for the end of the year. So you can do the brain dump, so you get all of that out of your mind. Then you can go through these different focus goals. Well, a core focus that you want to really step into for the rest of the year, a spiritual focus, a word or scripture or something that you want to focus on, and then a family or personal goal, something that will align you with your values, and not your workload, not overwhelm you. Once you have those established, then you can go back to that list, that brain dump that you placed, and you wrote all the things down, and you can maybe pick the things that align the most with those 3 focuses, so that when you go through the rest of the year, you'll have a little bit of accomplishment because you'll have those things aligned with where you want to go, and you'll have some focus. Now, I also want to say that it's okay if you don't finish all 3. I'm giving you permission right now. And you're like, Stephanie, that's only 3 things, but you never know. It might be the one thing that you circle on your list, that first thing that you work on is the one thing that's supposed to get done for this season. And that's okay too. Give yourself some grace, but it's nice when you have a little bit of a platform, a little bit of room to be able to focus in on what you want to create. And then it kind of gives you the freedom so that there's no more pressure to do all those different things. And I know you're like, but there's a million other things that I need to get done. I know there's a lot of different things in our lives overall that we need to do. But I'm kind of talking about those big ideas. Now I said, put down, take out the chicken out of the freezer, because that's in your brain, right? Those are the things that your mind is holding onto. So the more that you can release, the better. So obviously you're going to take your chicken out for dinner, or you're not going to have chicken that night, right, out of the freezer. But I'm saying that's another good way, just to dump it all out. And then you can come in and really find those focuses for the end of the year. I think that when everything feels important, nothing really gets done, right? Nothing gets your best energy. But when you simplify and you focus your energy on what matters the most, that allows peace to lead the way instead of overwhelm. So to kind of recap, when you prioritize your peace, you anchor your week, and you refocus your energy, everything starts to shift. You begin to see progress. You're not striving, but you have steady, faith-fueled movement. Hey friends, I just wanted to pause the episode for one moment to make sure that I told you about the Faith-Fueled CEO workshop that is happening next week. I am so excited, and this is a great time to talk about it because the things that we talked about today will help you lean into a practical plan for the next season using systems that support your calling and not stress it. I cannot wait to do this webinar with you. It's going to be 1 hour that we get to come together. I'm going to help teach you, and you can have a time of Q&A at the end if we have time. But I'm excited to have you have a faith-fueled business, a faith-fueled structure to your life so that you can enter into the year with a calm, with a peace that I know that you want to have. And so I will have all the details in the link below. But I want to invite you to the Faith-Fueled CE workshop. All the details, again, will be found below in the show notes. All right, let's finish up today's episode. So my friends, don't let the pace of the world pull you out of the presence of God. You don't have to finish this year perfectly, just faithfully, right? When you focus on what He's called you to, that peace is going to replace the pressure you put on yourself, the pressure you feel around you, and your purpose becomes clear. And you can walk through this season with a little bit more calm because you're focused on what you want to create. So this week, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what are your 3 focus areas for the rest of the year? 1 faith, 1 business, and 1 personal. Write them down, commit them to God, and take 1 small step toward each. My friends, just don't let the pace of the world pull you out of the presence of God in this season. We have so much to be grateful for, and this season, and we're heading into Thanksgiving and then into Christmas and all of the wonderful things that we get to celebrate in that season. So let's not let all of the things that we need to do or our to-do lists or you name it distract us from that purpose for the meaning of this season. And so we're starting a little bit earlier than all of that kicking in because I want you to enter through this season feeling calm, feeling like you are aligned with where God wants you to go, and really just have the peace to replace the pressure. have your purpose become clear. So as we enter this week, and I would love for you to pause and ask, what are your 3 focus areas? Your faith area, your business or structure area, and your personal. Write those down and commit those to the Lord, and then look at the things that you need to do and find the things that you want to focus on the most that will help you reach towards those specific goals of your faith goal, your business goal, and your personal goal. What is going to bring life to that? What is going to shift that? What is going to carry you into the new year with those focuses in line? Friends, thank you so much for listening. I truly hope that this is helpful to you, that you can see already that we can have a calm as we have a focus. And I encourage you to send this to anybody you think it would help, because we want to help others have a peaceful system, a peaceful walk through the rest of this year. Please remember that you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care. Thank you for joining me on Flourish. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take your next step with confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs this encouragement. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at steph.book and join our Facebook community of faith-driven women who are ready to flourish. Make sure to check out the show notes for all the ways we can connect and continue this journey of growth together. My friends, remember, you are worthy and capable of living a full and flourishing life. Success isn't just possible, it's meant for you. Take care.